whom all the modern day so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled bird Israelites, being Israelite foreigners, scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, the main place for our captivity. And we are the Most High, Yahweh, chosen people of the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, Allah, Shwan Kadash, being the holy tongue, as in the Paleo Hebrew, being the ancient Hebrew. I'm going to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh. Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Wadash, which is our praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. In the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, whom is our strength and our Redeemer, and our light and our salvation. In the same tongue, I'm utter Mashana Kabwadium, Lahasaquanium, Shal Gadwarakah, many double honors to the apostles and elder bishops, great millstone, and Shalawam. Honors and salutations to Bayashad Abadah, all right, meaning the house of David, of the 1/3 elect remnant of the nation of Israel, along with the rest of the 1/3 elect men, women, and children of Israel. As your fellow servant Malak Rayab, back at it again with another lesson through the spirit of prophecy, being the testimony of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who the masters of the world ignorantly refers to Jesus Christ. And just a quick video going into Esau's enchantments through his satanic devices, such as AI failing him by further exposing him. All right, it's another, end time indication that America, Babylon the Great is circling the drain. All right, the main place, which is, which is the main place for our captivity, the sinful kingdom. All right, the virgin daughter of Babylon, aka the daughter of Babylon in Psalm the 137th chapter. All right, synonymous with the rulership of Esau, Edom, for identifying who the modern day empire of the virgin daughter of Babylon, aka the daughter of Babylon, is, all right, which is which is Babylon the Great, meaning the great land of confusion. All right, which that confusion is of this satanic vibration that is everything contrary to righteousness, which is what AI further represents, artificial intelligence. Okay, all right, going into demonic intelligence, as I've been breaking down within these last few epistles, through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemeshai, further tearing down these strongholds and stumbling blocks, all right, of our oppression and our affliction, including AI. Because at some point, Esau is going to use AI, to blame us, all right, by implicating us on charges through this witchcraft, all right, making it seem like we're doing things and that we're not doing, and saying things that we're not saying, because he has been granted the power to do so on the left-hand side through these satanic devices. But the ironic thing is, these satanic devices are further befalling him. They're further causing him to be exposed, okay, putting a stain and shame on his glory of wickedness through these very satanic devices. So now you have, Chatgpt of AI, further pointing out that the greatest H to the LO cost was the transatlantic slave trade, which is very interesting. Okay, so in this, so this lesson was actually influenced by a video I came across, and I was clocked in at the plantation last night listening to this video by this guy, Pastor Kelly. Is a worldly Israelite who knows he's Israelite. All right, who's a worldly wacky-tacky Christian pastor. All right, or a worldly Christian pastor associated with wacky-tacky Christianity. While also simultaneously teaching mainly, really the so-called Negroes of the Israelites, neglecting the Northern Kingdom for some reason, but nonetheless, he's a double-minded man. All right, because he's another, he's a worldly Israelite who knows he's Israelite. That so happens to be a so-called Christian pastor. Wacky-tacky Christian pastors, such as Charles Dow and Stephen Darby, who is in the spiritual realm now. But nonetheless, he had brought out something interesting on ChatGPT. I'm not sure how you found this, because when I tried to find it, it wasn't popping up. So the Spirit had him find it, in which I went ahead and got a hold of this information, which I'm about to use to further edify and exhort the body. Adam Ratazah. So before I play this video, actually, let me go ahead and play this video here. All right, fair use.
Who look like their forefathers, but their paternal line was disrupted during the world's greatest Holocaust. What does it say there?
before we continue with that, paternal is going into, you know, going into the concept of offspring originating back to the father. All right, so our quote unquote paternal, line, was further, disrupted. All right, further defiled by Esau. All right, through the chattel, through chattel slavery. Okay, raping our women. Okay, taking out the majority of our men. All right, raping our women and creating terrorists such as Frederick Douglass. So this further goes into the legacy, all right, of slave culture, all right, which is of oppression, which is comprised of compression, affliction, in the greatest manner of which under the sun that no other demographic of people has experienced other than our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. So I just wanted to briefly speak on that, touch on that, his mentioning of, the whole paternal line, all right, and how that ties into, our secular history, all right, and how this devil has greatly destroyed our people, all right, even though we still exist for the sake of prophecy be fulfilled, all right, we'll continue.
This is Chatgpt. I didn't say this. It said the world's greatest Holocaust, the transatlantic what? Slave trade, which is a world war. Any inputs?
Yeah, that's very interesting that Chatgpt had further revealed this information, because I've been reading this book. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and grab it real quick. I've been reading this book for some time now. It's called The American H to the Locau by David E. Stannard, going into the conquest of the quote-unquote New World, which is America, all right, which the founding fathers, the true, authentic founding fathers of America are the indigenous of the northern kingdom of Israel, all right, going into the secular history and how, they were conquered by the Spaniards and, conquistadors, which are all Edomites, all right. So this is part of that, the greatest H to the Holocaust that Chatgpt had further revealed, okay, that happened during the transatlantic slave trade, which is a great time of oppression and affliction that affected both the southern kingdom, the so-called Negro tribes, and the northern kingdom of Israel, so-called indigenous tribes. As it says in Jeremiah 15:33, how they refused to let Judah and Israel go, both kingdoms, all right, and they who specifically refused to let us go in a mental aspect, okay, of not allowing us to read during chattel slavery, even now, using social engineering and psychological conditioning through their politics, their indoctrination of so-called pro-white curriculum taught in these schools, such as Christopher Columbus supposedly discovered America when the Northern Kingdom was here first. So this is all a part of the greatest H word that they mention here, that Chatgpt further revealed, which is very interesting, because Esau has invested so much time and resources to discard this, to discard and hide this information from us. But now his own devices is further revealing it, and that further confirms that he's losing his power. This is another ensign that he's losing grip on this world by losing his power. Okay, so I'm going to play this again.
And for those who keep being told by the other people that we should forget about that and get over that, no. The greatest Holocaust was done to our people.
Exactly. Now look at what it says here, right? Scriptural thing, Chatgpt, but he had to put flames right here, right? But it says prophetic thing, right? Judah shall dwell forever. Meaning, despite what happened, Yahweh preserves a remnant. In other words, surviving portion.
All right, so elect.
Prophetic. Exactly. Or war. GPT. I did disrupted. Disrupted during the world's greatest Holocaust. What does it say there? This is Chatgpt. I didn't say this. It said the world's greatest Holocaust, the transatlantic what? slave trade, which is a world war.
See, so with Chatgpt, it further revealed is that our paternal bloodline, our paternal line, as in our bloodline, all right. Which lines up what it says in Numbers 1:18, how the offspring of an individual is confirmed by the bloodline or pedigree of their father, in so many words. Okay, so through our through the compromising of our paternal bloodline on behalf of our bloodline as Israelites, okay, stemming back to our fathers being affected by the processes that I went ahead and Fred revealed, how Esau was he was killing our men and raping our women, for example, creating tares such as Frederick Douglass, is how our paternal line, quote unquote, got further compromised. So during that process, Chatgpt further revealed that during that process had happened during. I'm going to play one more time.
Any inputs? I didn't say this. It said or disrupted during the world's greatest Holocaust, who looked like their forefathers.
But shalom to you, beloved Akim on the comment board. See my brother Yawsop on the comment board. GMS Yawsop, hopeful elect 777. Subscribe and be edified. All right, beloved brother GMS Tazadakda, Bunny Howda, out there in Michigan. All right. And beloved brother out there in Canada, Tazawam, Yahweh Shemay Shabrak Chi Akim. All right, and everyone tuning in, subscribe to these Akim. All right, be edified. But go play a little bit more of this.
Their paternal line was disrupted during the world's greatest Holocaust. What does it say there? This is Chatgpt. I didn't say this. It said the world's greatest Holocaust, the transatlantic what? Slave trade, which is a world war. Any inputs?
You can't make this shit up, man. Chatgpt said this. You see? So so let's get to the precept now. All right, I'm going to start off with the book of Psalm chapter 10 and verse 2. All right. Psalm chapter 10 and verse 2. And it says, "The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken and the devices that they have imagined." Okay. And the poor represents the Israelites. All right. And the carnally wealthy and the carnally rich represents the Edomites, mainly the Zionist international crime banking families who were behind that farce, those people in the Holy Land are supposedly the chosen by way of the Balfour Declaration, okay, formed by Lionel Walter Rothschild, okay, and the British government in 1917 before it was enacted in 1948 when they started going to war with Ishmael over there, the so-called Arabs. So they perpetuated that lie, okay, to further fulfill Psalm 83 and 4, to remove the remembrance of Israel from the earth. All right, while stealing our glory, okay, temporarily by looking to steal our identity, and it's backfired on them because their own devices are further revealing how wicked they are. Okay, how fraudulent they are. Their own devices, okay, befalling them. Okay, being taken the devices they have imagined. Okay, is and a further example of that is Chatgpt further revealing them. Because Esau never envisioned, his own devices compromising him and further adding on to the shameful spewing that would be casted on his glories as prophesied in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. So before I get to the precepts on the comment board, I'm going to go ahead and expound on that point by playing this quick video by Jay Rockefeller, okay, who pointed out the regret of them creating the internet. All right, the very bankers I mentioned. The Dukes of Edom, the rulers of the darkness of this world, all right?
Comes within our purview. Tomorrow, a full committee hearing on cybersecurity. And this comes within our purview on this committee. And not trying to be dramatic about it, when the internet was invented, everybody fell flat in their face. They were so thrilled. And the world began to do business in a different way. Now, both the President Bush's Director of National Intelligence, Mike McConnell, who I greatly respect, and President Obama's Director of National Intelligence, Admiral Blair, who I greatly respect, have labeled cybersecurity perpetrated through the internet as the #1 national hazard of attack on the homeland in West Virginia, in America, or anywhere else.
All right, I can't stomach hearing this devil's voice too much longer. I'm gonna go back to the point to where I'm focused on the point that he mentioned. How basically he said when the internet was created, they fell flat on their face. Who is he really talking about? Okay, they whom he answers to. Okay, because he's obviously with the name Rockefeller. He's tied with the Rothschilds. So he was speaking. He was advocating their distress over this device being created for their which never envisioned to be a part of their detriment. Because so in the case of Chatgpt, for exposing the fact that what happened to us during the transatlantic slave trade and similar accounts of secular historical periods of oppression and affliction that ties into the curses, Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. Okay, that further will force one to look at the H to the Holocaust that Esau had sought out to have people's minds fixated on, as to sympathize with supposedly what happened to them, in which they can't prove that those 6 million condom hats got eliminated by that devil with the strange mustache. For those who catch my drift, you can't say certain things because it'll trigger their algorithm through their nanotechnology. But nonetheless, and he was a small hat. He was a condom hat. Okay, the dude with the small mustache. His bloodline goes back to his so-called paternal bloodline goes back to the Rothschilds. So he's an Amalekite. Okay, see, and that all further exposes Esau's propaganda, and what's further aiding that? His own devices. So he is a further omen that he's losing grip on his power, because Yahweh Shemeshai is withdrawing his power from him, which is through Shaitan. All right, the 13th member of his 13th council, who eventually is going to stop answering to him. So then he's going to bug out and just resort back to his bread and butter, which is his sword. And that's when he's going to be forced and compelled to just come down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time because he's through. You see? So we don't have very much longer in this place, man. So this was very spiritual. I heard this last night. I was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. But anyway, I'm gonna get a couple of these priests off the comment board and bring out a few more of my own. All right. But let's go to the comment board. Yeah, brother, put up Daniel. The spirit actually had that a part of the list that I have. Daniel 9:11. All right, GMS y'all stop hopeful elect 777. Daniel 9:11. Salakia says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they. All right, Salakia. I hate when he keeps doing that, but it says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High God, Yahweh by Shai, because we have sinned against him. And here's the point of verse 12. And he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. So there's no other demographic of people that have suffered the greatest manner of evil than we have. Okay, through colonization. Okay, that led to damn near genocide. Okay, especially on behalf of the Northern Kingdom, mainly the tribe of Gad, so-called natives. Okay, which this book, The American H to the Holocaust, is about, by David E. Stannard. Okay, what happened to our people during chattel slavery? Okay, having our skin flagged off of us. Okay, being consumed literally by these devils, such as Nat Turner. All right, being raped, our men being raped through the process of buck breaking, in front of our entire family so they could break the will of the women and the children. Our babies were fed to alligators. The Northern Kingdom women, the pregnant Northern Kingdom women, were hung upside down while Esau, these damn barbaric devils, all right, these barbaric godless devils, took a sword, which is really a blunt force weapon. Okay, despite how sharp the edges could be if you sharpen it properly, that's still considered a blunt force weapon. What I'm saying, that would commit blunt force trauma. So the point is, for you to be able to cut a fetus out of a pregnant female's stomach, you'd have to exert a certain amount of force with that blunt force weapon. And they were doing that. Okay? There's things that they did. There's heinous, sadistic, satanic things these devils did that weren't even recorded. So Chatgpt had highlighted all of that, and that lines up with prophecy. Okay, including the one the brother just put up here, Daniel 9 and 12. The greatest evil, going into the greatest evil, a great evil brought upon us. Because it was the greatest evil. Okay, hence the greatest H word, all right? So, so with that, let me go ahead and continue. Salakia. All right, so with that, get the next precept. Actually, we go back to Psalm 10. Psalm 10 and 2 said, the wicked in his pride, they'll persecute the poor, let it be taken device they have imagined. Now, I want to speak on that real quick. Okay, now it didn't stop there. Okay, look at this. Now, even fresh out of slavery, chattel slavery, following the Emancipation Proclamation, where Esau made Jake believe they were free, but removing the carnal chains, replacing them with mental chains, making giving us false hope through the theme of America, liberty and justice for all, so we could pay taxes and be slaves, working these corporate jobs. Okay, that were including these factory jobs that were established off of slave labor. Okay, distributed to the industrial movement, creating these jobs and whatnot, in which was mainly given to the Edomites. And when Jake went to go, apply for these jobs, of course they were discriminated against through redlining. They were still suffering by way of now. So even when we started thriving, fresh out of chattel slavery, following the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865, this is what Esau did to us. This is the massacre, the Tulsa Race Massacre. All right. 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. All right, I'm just going to briefly run through this. It says on May 31st, 1921, so-called white mob, Edomites, of over 1,000 people gathered outside the Tulsa City Jail, where a black teenager, quote-unquote, Israelite, was being held on accusations of assaulting a white woman, Edomite, Shedemite. In response, about 50 armed so-called black men arrived to support the police in protecting the teenager and preventing the mob from storming the jail. In response, the mob launched a violent ground and air attack on Greenwood and its residents. And there's various other accounts of secular history of these devils afflicting us. There's many of them. I believe the brother Yawasab did a lesson on that a couple of months ago or a month ago. But it says here, historians point to racism and resentment toward Greenwood's economic success and thriving black community, quote unquote, as the true drivers behind the mob's attack. While some claim the violence was triggered by outrage over the alleged assault, deeper tensions were at play. Of course, those deeper tensions were the internal hatred these devils have for us, as is mentioned in Amos 1:11. It has nothing to do with our skin pigmentation. That's just an indicator of whom a nationality may originate back to. Okay, because you also have dark-skinned Edomites like Frederick Douglass. Okay, so their hatred for us is deeper than what they led people to believe, and the answer is a prophetic answer, pursuant to Genesis, the 27th chapter, going back to Genesis, the 25th chapter, how our forefather Jacob was wrestling the progenitor of these Edomites in the belly of our foremother, Rebecca. Okay. And then Esau came out first, and our forefather Jacob was holding on to his heel. All right. Because they were twins. All right. And our forefather Jacob holding on to Esau's heel represented, us taking Esau down through the spirit and poverty held by Shimei, of Esau ruling first, in a sense, in terms of ruling his world. Okay, as it says in 2 Ezra 6 and 9, Jacob is the beginning of the world, and Esau is the Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So it's very symbolic that had happened in our foremothers' womb. Then in Genesis 27 chapter, when our forefather Jacob supplanted Esau out of the blessing, Esau waged war on us. And he didn't just wage war on our forefather Jacob, but his entire bloodline. And this is why these devils hate us to this day. All right. So this is that's the deeper tensions that were at play. So it goes on to say, for 18 hours, the mob unleashed chaos, burning 35 city blocks to the ground. Hundreds of black residents, quote unquote, were put to death. Nearly 200 businesses were destroyed, and around 10,000 people were forced from their homes. So Esau went on a rampage, man. How come they didn't teach us about this in, his so-called, scholastic school institutions? Because they're indoctrination camps for children, similar to prisons for adults. And the whole setup is similar. Through the cafeteria trays, the cafeteria tables. You see, it's the same. It is part of the same system. So it says no so-called white perpetrators were ever jailed, and so-called black survivors and their descendants have never received compensation or reparations for what was lost. All right, really, our reparations are you Edomites, pursuant to Isaiah 14 and 3. Okay, and Revelation 13 and 10, and some other precepts. Okay, you Edomites are our reparations. You will belong to us very soon. All right. It says here, the massacre caused massive financial loss. Insurance companies deny most claims, costing victims the equivalent of over $27 million today and wiping out generations of so-called black wealth. So they used this case of this so-called black teenager supposedly assaulting an Edomite or Shedemite woman to justify their hatred towards us, to compromise us and destroy everything that we had built at that time. That further confirms that, as it says in Jeremiah 5 and 19, we were brought over here to serve our enemies and their gods. And that's where religion comes in. That's part of Esau's wine. Okay? His idolatry presented through the guise of religion. All right? In which the legacy of that goes back to Antiochus Epiphanes during the Hellenist period. All right? When the Edomites started ruling, known as the Greeks. All right? Going under the banner of the Greeks at that time. All right? During the time where they had took over them Japhetic people of the original Greek culture, incorporated their culture into their culture, creating the pagan Greco-Roman Empire. All right. So they've been carrying out this legacy of wickedness ever since then, even to this point, which we're living in the final era, the final hour of this era of his rulership. Okay. But by way of the ensigns and omens indicating that, including his own devices. So it's back in Psalm 10 and 2. The wickedness pride to persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. This is exactly what is playing out. Isaiah 47 and 10 says, verse 12, says, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. All right, so what part of, in those enchantments? Let's look at enchantments real quick. All right. It's the Hebrew word habar. It's like a chabar. It's the Hebrew word chabar for enchantments. Look at it. Look at this spell. Okay. That's what AI further represents. Okay, on the left-hand side. Okay, the same AI spell, okay, enchantment that's going to be used to demonize us. And a lot of people are going to believe there's witchcraft. Okay, because case in point, this devil has developed, AI technology, this new AI platform known as Google VO. All right, the elder God of One out there in the Bay Area is bringing out. So I actually did a little brief research on it. And it says, so basically what it is, it's, as it says here, it's a AI video generator that they can use to make fake movies, okay, with fake actors and actresses in it that would seem real. So they don't even have to even hire. And that's another thing, too. That's going to further affect the movie industry. A lot of you actors and actresses about to be out of work, okay, because Esau don't need you anymore. Okay, he's further tapping into the power of Shaitan on the left-hand side through the enchantments, these spells, including AI. And he's going to use it to demonize us in due time. But ironically, it's also exposing him. Okay, so this is Isaiah 47:13. Salaki. It says, "Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee." Okay. It's, so, hey, the Lord is being facetious with you devils. All right. Since you want to tap into left hand energy so much, see if it'll save you in the time of your calamity when that dark day comes upon you. In Zephaniah, the 1st chapter, when you're hiding in the ground like cowards from what you know you have coming to you. Okay. Says in Isaiah the 19th chapter, they will seek the charmers. And you're not going to receive any answers because the source of their power is going to be drawn out, just like Jay Rockefeller going into. They should have never created the internet because it was really formerly known as a DARPA net, okay, a weapon of the Pentagon, of the Pentagon, all right, to rival, Russia's Sputnik weapon in the 70s. Basically, the internet was formerly used as spy surveillance, and then it grew to what it is right now, a digital encyclopedia that can enlighten a lot of minds, various aspects of information, including the information that exposes you Edomites to the devil the Bible speaks of. See, so this is Jeremiah 49:10. It says, "But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not." So there's going to come a time where you're going to be spoiled collectively. It says in Isaiah 33:1. And these other heathen nations will be used to spoil you through this last world's war before your Yahweh and angels get involved. And the house of David. Okay. The elect. All right, the 144,000 of the elect. Okay, to bring vengeance upon you for all the wickedness you have done against our people. This is Obadiah, starting verse 3. It says, "The pride of thine heart had deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock." All right, hence the term Caucasian, meaning cave dwellers. All right, because that's your familiar habitation of dwelling, these caves. All right, going back to the caves in South Georgia, Russia, that you got chased into by our forefathers during the Dark Ages. Okay, within the Caucasus Mountains, between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, around modern day Khazaria, which is Ukraine. That's why these devils have a lot of business. They have interests over there now. You see. Then he migrated over to the Holy Land, all right, under the Balfour Declaration, to perpetrate this fraud. And Chatgpt exposed all of that by simply highlighting the fact that the greatest H word, pertains to our people, because the H to L-O-Cos just really means. Matter of fact, let's look that up real quick. Because that's another thing too. Esau used these terms. He'll misapply these terms for his favor. So this is let me see. Type this in real quick. Yep. See what it says there. Destruction or slaughter on a mass scale, especially caused by fire and nuclear war. And ironically, they brought that fire upon our civilization in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You see? and America's going to be on fire. All right, so back in Obadiah, verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord, Yahweh by Shemashai, because the eagle represents the violence of the air, okay, symbolic of wickedness, going back to the ancient Egyptian empire and then the pagan Greco-Roman empire, which is the same symbol of America, for identifying who Edomites are. Okay, the same representative of the eagle that came from another, from the other side of the world, speaking languages we didn't understand. Prophesied in Deuteronomy 28, around the 48th verse. All right. Speaking Portuguese, French, Spanish, English, all the languages the tribes speak, the lost 12 tribes of Israel. So all this information is being brought to the forefront for the elect to be sealed, if they haven't already been completely sealed now. All right. So that your empire can be destroyed and we can be brought back to the Holy Land and rule this earth in righteousness forever. All right. It's Obadiah, jumping down to verse, I'm continue reading. Verse 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? You devils can't have enough, man. You took every damn thing. Okay. Not only, did you killed the cattle supply, killing off the food and clothing supply of the natives of the tribe of Gad specifically. Okay. All right. All the corn that they taught you to cultivate, all the different crops, you compromised that. You exhausted it by exhausting it. Okay. Black Wall Street as well. You went out of your way to inconvenience us when we weren't even bothering you, because you fear us thriving without your aid and your surveillance and your influence, because we're greater than you, physically, mentally, spiritually. Okay, we're more charismatic, we're more innovative, we're more inquisitive, we're more innovative. All these case in point, all these major inventions were created by slaves that you took credit for. All right. So you have a scarcity mindset, because you're like a walking virus. It says in Sirach the 10th chapter. See, you took this land from the Northern Kingdom. Didn't have the audacity to set up borders. And then when they come begging for the crumbs of what you stole from them, you continue to further their affliction. So it says, if these came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? How, it says, would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? You didn't leave shit for us, man. You still don't leave shit for us, man. Man, matter of fact, bruh, let me see if I could find this real quick, man. I gotta look for this. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it. Yep, here it is. Listen to this.
I take this money. I got bills. I pay my car note. I give it right back to you. Then I gotta pay my rent. I give it right back to you. Don't that mean I'm working for free? I'm sorry. I just want to understand it, bro. I just want to understand this shit real quick, B. I want to understand reflection. I want to understand this real quick. I own a business. I own my own salon. The building is owned by some realtor. I call him up. I pay the realtor. Who gave the realtor the money to get the complex that I'm going to own my business in? The bank. Right? But I got my own business. So I'm coming in here, but I pay my rent to the realtor. Who pays that? To the bank. Right? So wait a minute. I'm getting this money now, but it's still going to the fucking bank. And then now, because I own my own business, I'm the man, the bills. Guess what? Pay my employees or whatever, collect my stuff, and now I gotta pay my car note, cause now I gotta fly. Can't pay my car note. That goes to the bank. Pay my apartment, my house, my mortgage. That goes to the bank. It's a rat wheel. You working for free. The people that print the money don't need money, homie. They need control.
That's it.
Power. Doing what they need you to be doing when they need you to be doing it. My God. They need your energy. They need you to be like this. Worried about stupid shit. Shit don't even matter. You worried about, I gotta pay my phone bill.
That's real shit.
You gotta pay your what? My phone bill. They got us out here figuring out ways to find loopholes to make money. I take this money.
That's it. That's it. This is Proverbs 22:16. That's what the Federal Reserve Note was created for. Under the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, under Franklin D. Roosevelt, by these devils through the Fed. Proverbs 22:16. He that oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. So, what the brother was saying was spot on, man. It lines up with prophecy, which further identifies who the lost 12 tribes of Israel are, the poor. Okay, that these satanic devices were intended to destroy, that is backfired on Esau. So yeah, the brother Tazwan put up Killer of the Flower Moon in Osage Valley, Oklahoma, 1921, Tribe of Gad, at the water. And they made a movie. I believe they made a movie about that, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, most likely a Jake, and a Gadite woman. Okay, how Esau was exploiting them, through the oil and so forth. Okay, so all right, so we'll go back. All right, we'll go back to Obadiah. You see, and another thing too. All right, matter of fact, let me just keep reading. It's back in Obadiah. Obadiah 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Psalm 37 chapter says, Psalm 37:28 said, the seed of the wicked. Matter of fact, let me get there real quick. Okay. Psalm 37:28, for the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai loveth judgment and forsaken not his saints, the Israelites, sanctified nation of Israel. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. That's the Edomites. The same ones who perpetuated the greatest HTLL cost, according to, further revealed by Chatgpt. Esau's creation. Esau's satanic device, enchantment. Fred exposing his dirt. Okay? So this is back in Obadiah. Verse 11. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them, all right, including during the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Okay, or you devils, desecrated that second temple and caused the southern kingdom, predominantly on the scene at the time, to flee to northwest Africa. That mountainous region Yahushua spoke about, which is the Atlas Mountains, around the Saharan desert, where the trans-Saharan slave trade took place. See, so the matter of following the proverbial cookie crumbs, man, in terms of prophecy, going into the precepts, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. These prophecies, the Lord's prophecy is, which is His testimony, is like a jigsaw puzzle that needs to be put together, and only the elect have been given eyesight to put this puzzle together. Because to the world, it's a jigsaw puzzle. It's far fetched. In the case of us, professional Israelites, that's far fetched to these people. How can you niggas be Israelites? Well, the curses further identify the curses explains why we're the Israelites, for those who can see it, which further identifies who the devil is. The ego of the Lord allowed to come upon us. So now we're at the time where he's finally being exposed. There's nothing he can do about it except for to come down with great wrath and on the earth with a short time. Why? Because the jig is up for this devil. He's backed up against the ropes right now, taking all kinds of haymakers to the ribs, the head, okay, everywhere. So now he's going to come out. He's going to come like a bat out of hell, and he's going to bring forth the insurrection, prophesied in 2nd Ezra 16 chapter. And once you devils do that, Yahweh Shemeshai is going to lift up a standard against you for us, the elect. Adam Rathazah, myself included. It goes into in Isaiah 59 and 19. So this is back in Obadiah 11. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them. Okay. Verse 12. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. How do you further do that? Speaking proudly in the day of our distress, speaking loftily concerning oppression. Going into case in point, going into what these CIA programs, set up, and these different, CIA, ran programs and so forth through the fast food industry. Putting GMO fast food eateries in our rural neighborhoods, in the ghettos, the barrios, Indian reservations, all part of that social programming. That's what they clone Tyrone was about. When they eating chicken, then niggas started laughing and shit. When they were stoic before that, cause that's part of the social programming, man. Okay. All right. Putting GMOs in the food, contaminating every damn thing. All right. The propaganda, including the propaganda to support this farce that they're the people. Well, according to that big H word, that their own devices is further proven to be a farce. All right. Their politics, part of their social engineering. All right. The sexual decadence that they push here, that they've normalized due to so-called laws of the land. Oh, today marks Pride Month. I damn near forgot about that. Now, I don't know if this is an AI video, but some speculate it is. But supposedly, Trump said that he was looking to ban Pride Month. Well, that doesn't appear that that doesn't appear that it's going to happen because it's already Pride Month. They already begin. So that wickedness is going to be further upheld. Especially this month. It's all a part of that social engineering. Okay. The so-called black culture through the rap, you know what I'm saying, and so forth. So when we speak out against this social programming, all right, and all the wickedness that you've done, you devils speak lawfully concerning oppression. You tell us to get a job. You tell us to pick up ourselves up by the bootstraps. When you didn't leave any goddamn bootstraps for us to use, man. You took everything. As it went into in Obadiah the 5th chapter. The 5th verse. And whatever Jake thinks that you left behind are really crumbs. Like that Jake has said in that video. They going into the process of printing money. That's part of their scarcity mindset. They have an overabundance of resources that they got from our slave labor. So we are working for free in this devil's system. Okay? And that's part of the curses. So this is Obadiah 13, verse 13. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in a day of distress. All right. And this is exactly what has been done. All right. You have delivered those of his that did remain in a day of distress. All right. You continue and you continue to do so. All right. Through these devices to keep our minds conformed to the system, to kill our hope in the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai. This is why America itself it's a snare in itself. That's why a lot of jakes don't, they look at America, Babylon the Great as the end all be all. So when we preach what Yahweh Shai told us to preach before our people, the kingdom of heaven, all right, that's far-fetched to them. Because they have been indoctrinated to believe that heaven has been achieved through the flesh. That's what America's all about, the golden city in Isaiah the 14th chapter. Hence why a lot of these other heathen nations want to come over here and experience this fleshly experience. Being a harlot, being a whoremonger, a pimp, being a glutton. See, but the spirit quickeneth as in it baptizes, and the flesh profiteth nothing. All right. This is why you devils are losing your power. This is Habakkuk 2:12. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. Sin upon sin. That's the standard of living in America, Babylon the Great. All right. That's why many people are going to be destroyed. Okay. For walking in great pride, following the example of Esau's satanic counsel. This is Ezekiel chapter, actually, I'm going to grab this. Ezekiel chapter 24 and verse 6. It says, wherefore thus said the Lord God, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, let no lot fall upon it. For her blood is in the midst of her. She set it upon the top of a rock. She poured it not upon the ground to cover with dust. All right. All right. So the scum that that this place represents is being brought to the forefront. It's going to burn with this place. All right. Because it exemplifies the scum that you devils are. Through every falsehood that you promote as living. Through the whoredom, the witchcraft, through the enchantments, the tarot card reading, the tarot card readings, the Wiccans in the military, which are witches. Okay. So like, so forth. Everything a part of this place that makes it evil. Okay. It's going to burn up. All right. This is, verse 8, that it might cause fury to come up to take vengeance. I have set her blood upon the top of a rock that it should not be covered. Therefore, thus said the Lord God Yahweh by Shem Shai, woe to the bloody city. I will even make the pile for fire great. Heap on wood, kindle the fire, consume the flesh and spice it well, and let the bones be burned. Then set it empty upon the coals thereof, that the brass of it may be hot and may burn, and that the filthiness of it may be molten in it, that the scum of it may be consumed. All right. Man. This is verse 12. She had wearied herself with lies, and her great scum went not forth out of her. Her scum shall be in the fire. She had wearied herself with lies. This whore, America, Babylon the Great. Okay. The virgin daughter of Babylon. All right. The Babylon the Great. Okay. This virgin out of Babylon had been perceived to remain a lady forever, as it says in Isaiah the 47th chapter. Okay, to this place is consumed. This also says in Revelation the 18th chapter. All right, promoting Queen of Heaven, Semiramis, idolatry through feminism. All right, it's about a lot of moles, a lot of feminine men. Because everything's been turned upside down here, where the minds of the women have been emasculated against their true nature, taking on the man role in these households. I got out doing a little studying last night. For some reason, Norbit popped up in a queue. And really, Norbit is a further example of the curses, man. Deuteronomy 28 and 56. You know, the tender and delicate woman will no longer be tender and delicate, so many words. You know, it's really, the movie was wicked, you know, because Eddie Murphy dressing as a woman, which is an abomination. So the Deuteronomy says a man's not supposed to put on you know, there's another thing too. Let me get that real quick. Deuteronomy, let me see. I think it's the 23rd chapter. Salakia. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It says, damn, I ain't gonna worry about finding it if I can't think about where to. Somewhere, I think it's somewhere in Deuteronomy. It says, it says a man's not supposed to put on a woman's attire or something like that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, I ain't gonna worry about finding it. But basically, it's somewhere in Deuteronomy where it says you know, if any brother knows what I'm talking about, put it in the comment board, Bob Kashar. But basically, you know, it says a woman's not supposed to put on a man's attire, and a woman's not supposed to wear breeches or something like that. All right, because that's you know, that's backwards. Okay, that's a part of, you know, what it says in Isaiah 29:16, that things have been turned upside down. All right. Anyway, I'm going to continue. So, okay, yeah. Deuteronomy 22:5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are abomination to the Lord Yahweh by Shem shall have power. All right. So a lot of these jakes in Hollywood put on women's, emulate a woman, putting on makeup and dress and, artificial breasts is off. All right. Including that, Eddie Murphy in that Norbit movie. Basically, he's playing a stereotypical nigga woman. Playing the role of a man. And that's a part of the American culture. Okay. That makes this place the great land of confusion, Babylon the Great. And this is why this place is going to go up in smokes. It's going to go up in flames. All right, by way of these nukes. All right, and that's the end game for America, Babylon the Great. And the aftermath is the redemption of Jake from these curses and ruling over this earth in everlasting righteousness. So I'm going to go ahead and end it off on that note. Khan, not good. Khan, the water. All right, I'm going to end it off on a note, get a couple of these precepts. All right, and I'm going to end it off because I got to make a move. All right. The brother, GMS tells the doctor Bunny how to put up Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And that's exactly what they've done. These Edomites. Okay. Let me see. That's the apostle, Lakia. Brother Tazwan put up St. Matthew 11:12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. Okay, and that's exactly what happened, in 70 AD. There's another example of this, this kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven being taken by violence. being sought out by our enemy, our arch nemesis, Esau, Edom. And he's still hunting our steps, as it says in Lamentations 4th chapter. And he will continue to do that until Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai removes him, removes us from his subjection. All right, and subdues him as slaves in our kingdom before he destroyed after 1,000 years. All right, so I'm going to end it off on that note. Okay, the water for all the tuning in, as well as the precepts added on to the lesson. Shall praise for the edifying is ordained to your elect. Shall give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom was the God of the living. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Hadash. Once again, double honors to the apostles and elder bishop of Great Millstone for teaching well and well. Shalom and salutations to the elect. All right, a Baba Ball, soon and very soon. All right, and on to the next one.